The following program and contents, including the views and opinions expressed by the host and any guest speakers, are solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The views and opinions expressed are not endorsed or supported by Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, their employees, affiliates, or advertisers. The host and guest speakers are solely responsible for their own perspectives, and their views do not reflect those of Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, their employees, affiliates, or advertisers. The information provided in this program should not be considered as professional advice or as a substitute for professional consultation. Listeners and viewers are encouraged to form their own opinions and seek independent advice when necessary. Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, their employees, affiliates, and advertisers hereby disclaim any liability for any claims, damages, or losses incurred as a result of the information presented in this program.
Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
There's been much talk about vegetarian, vegan, and plant-based diet. Yet humans are considered omnivores and have been eating both animal and plant-based diets since the birth of the species. Is there any true advantage to becoming vegetarian or vegan? Or is it just a fad? Mission Evolution Radio TV show is coming to you around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. With us this hour to explore the value of plant-based cooking and eating is Jill Dalton. Jill is the host and creator of the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show and co-author of Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy. Her website, plantbasedcookingshow.com. Jill, thanks so much for joining us on Mission Evolution.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
This is a topic that's been around for quite a while, and there's a lot of debate on both sides of the coin. So we should have fun tossing it around a little bit today. So Jill, what's your educational background in nutrition?
I really don't have an educational background in nutrition at all. I'm just going from personal experience and the experience of my husband and my two children.
Okay. So why did you personally switch to a whole food plant-based diet?
I think it was right before I was turning 40, and my husband was also turning 40, and we just started having all these weird health issues. Like I was having heart palpitations, and I was having regular migraines and headaches, and just overall not feeling well. Thinking, is this what 40's like? This is crazy. I've got a long life to live yet, and if it's going to be this achy and just miserable, I must be doing something wrong. And then my husband also got diagnosed with pre-diabetes, which was kind of a scary, we don't want to go down that road at all. So It was kind of a wake-up call.
What have you folks been eating mostly until that time?
We were kind of living off the land. We had a 10-acre sort of a farm. We had ducks and chickens and a sheep and a great big garden. So we were trying to live or eat as close to the land as possible, and all organic, grass-fed, all of that kind of stuff. But, we were just increasingly feeling worse and worse and gaining weight. So we're like, okay, maybe this isn't the answer.
Well, it sounds like you're doing everything right, according to most people.
Yeah, that's what we thought too.
So what did you do first when you're getting ready to shift over? Where did you find your material? Where did you find the information?
We read a book called Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. And
Yes,
it was
I've had him on the
just,
show. Yeah, he's lovely.
it just blew our mind, really. I mean, I think we just didn't know how bad off track we had gotten. And we read that book and we were like, wow, how did we not know this? And we just jumped in 100% right from the beginning.
Did you have any healing crisis, if you will? I know a lot of people when they drastically change their diet, particularly if they're having, some symptoms, kind of go into a healing crisis where they feel worse before they feel better. Did you have any of
Oh,
that?
not at all. I mean, I think it was that day really when we changed. And the first week, the first 2 weeks, we were just like, how can this be? We were feeling so good, feeling so light. The pounds were just melting off, and we weren't extravagant exercisers. We probably walked about 2 miles every day, and it wasn't like a hard, fast paced. We were just kind of strolling along. And so, yeah, we didn't go through any kind of like withdrawals or detox. We just felt great, and our skin improved immediately, our eyes, body odor, all of these random things that, you don't really think that much about, that it's connected to your what you're eating.
So, what changes did you make?
So Dr. Joel Furman, he suggests, well, I mean, there's different ways of doing it. You can just kind of dabble your feet a little bit, or you can jump right in. We wanted to just, we're crazy people. We're big leapers. We just went all in and said we're going to get rid of all this stuff out of our fridge, so there's no temptations whatsoever. So yeah, we just started eating a lot more raw vegetables, salads, cooked vegetables, uh, front loading our meals. Like breakfast was our biggest meal of the day, of course, because that helps you stabilize your glucose for the rest of the day. So yeah, it was just a lot of oatmeal or we've changed now to eating buckwheat. We feel better eating buckwheat groats instead of oats in the morning, and a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, and a lot of dessert. We are big dessert fans, so I wasn't willing to give that up. I'm like, life is short, right? So we found recipes for really great desserts, and we're super happy.
So, before this, you were eating desserts with refined sugar. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
And so, then what was the change there? You said you're still doing desserts, but you've changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, before, my desserts of choice are always baked goods because I come from a baking family.
Mhm.
So it's white flour, sugar, butter, oil, all of those things. And that all pretty much had to go. So I started transforming the recipes that I knew into like gluten-free and very healthy recipes. So I use mainly oat flour and almond flour, and I don't use eggs anymore. You can use flax eggs, which, it's a very simple process. And instead of using refined sugar, I just blend dates into whatever liquid is in the recipe, and it's a great sweetener because it's still got all that fiber intact, doesn't spike your glucose. It's great.
So, it sounds like a lot of the problem you were dealing with was your flour-based stuff. Were you before when you were using wheat flour? Was it non-GMO or was it just what you get off the shelf?
Yep, just regular off the shelf. I wasn't doing any kind of organic, but my husband was already gluten, sensitive, and my daughter also was gluten sensitive. Probably not intolerant, but they just didn't feel well and just felt bloated all the time. So we knew we probably had to eliminate that too at first.
Okay. So it sounds like that's one of the big changes. Not even so much the meat, is the sugar and the refined flours and the GMOs and the
Yeah, yeah,
non-organic.
yeah. Because it's kind of in everything. But we were pretty big meat eaters. Our neighbor was running cattle on our land at that time, so we had to deal with him to let them graze, and we would get half a beef every year. So we were eating meat pretty much 3 times a day. So
Did, how did he raise his cattle? Did he send them to a feedlot when it's
nope,
times to fatten them up before he butchered them,
nope,
or
this
how
is
did he do it?
purely grass fed. We were living in New Zealand at that time, and they
Mm,
do a lot of grass fed kind of
yeah, they've got the grass.
yeah, they've got plenty of pasture land. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So you were doing all the right things as far as the beef went, but it still wasn't working real well for
Nope.
you,
Nope.
apparently.
Our
Okay.
cholesterol was high, everything. All
Mm.
the markers were bad.
Bad, 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 bad.
Yep.
Okay. So why do you use the term whole food plant-based instead of vegan?
Um, Vegan is great. I'm a huge believer and, a supporter of people going vegan, but that doesn't necessarily mean healthy. I mean, there's plenty of vegan junk food out there. About any food that you are in love with, there's a vegan alternative, like the Impossible Burger. Sure, they taste great, and it's, hard to believe that they're plant-based or vegan, but they're still full of a lot of oils and not saturated fats. And French fries and vegan ice cream, it's still loaded with sugar, loaded with salt, all that stuff. So it doesn't necessarily mean healthy. Whole food plant-based means, you're filling all of your meals with more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and healthy proteins like beans and tofu.
Are you paying attention to the GMO and the organic piece?
Hmm. Absolutely.
So, from what you're saying, a lot of people have this idea that if you go into a health food store and get it there, then you're doing good. Well, you
Yeah,
get
not
that.
always, not always. Yeah, you go into Whole Foods and there's plenty of junk food there too.
Right,
You
right. So
still have to be
reading the
careful.
labels is huge, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Okay. Humans are considered omnivores, and they've been eating both animals and plants since the birth of the species. Why would we need to change?
I think in times past, maybe people were eating more for survival rather than thriving. So I think that's a pretty that's a good distinction to make. In today's world, we're bombarded by so many different things, chemicals and pollutants, and then what's in our food, it's not raised the same way. It's not, the ground isn't that healthy anymore. So we're getting less nutrients. So when you're in that place, you really need to just flood your system with as many uh, whole food options as possible, fruits and vegetables and berries, all of the things with all of the lively colors to get all of those nutrients in there. Yeah.
So we're about out of time in this segment, but um, so the empty harvest idea, in other words, where the soil has been stripped by
Mhm.
our practices, do you think
Mhm.
that's playing a large part in us not feeling well?
Maybe slightly, but I mean, if you talk to your average Joe, I mean, if you're trying to get as many fruits and vegetables in your diet as possible, if you ask the average person how many vegetables or fruits they eat in a day, it's way, way below even the minimum line. So I don't really believe that for a second. I think even, if a person even went halfway in and they're eating a lot more fruits and vegetables, they're going to be feeling way, way, way better.
Much better. Well, it is that magic moment. Jill and I will return very shortly, so don't go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Where's the beef? With us this hour discussing the pros and cons of plant-based diet is Jill Dalton. Jill is the author of Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy. Jill, where is the beef in this equation? We were talking about how traditionally we are omnivores, but is there something about our lifestyle that's made that not work in addition to just the way the food is raised?
Hmm. Wow, that's a good question. I think, in today's world, maybe in times past, people were eating and hunting for their animals. So it was more of a wild situation like that, where the animals are much more healthy. But now it's all CAFOs and chicken factories and pig farming. I mean, we're here in North Carolina, so we've got the pig farms and the chicken farms, and it's horrible. I mean, if your average person saw how our meat was raised, they probably wouldn't eat it because it's horrible. It's horrible. And we really don't need to be eating it because the way they're grown now also is for super fast growth, which means a lot of fat, and all the when a cook will tell you, you want a lot of marbling in the meat, that's a lot of cholesterol and fat that we don't need to be eating all of that. And how when they're in a CAFO, they're fattened up in the end by, they feed them a lot of corn, which cows should never be eating corn. So it's just, I mean, I'm also aware of the fact, that just because they're grass fed or organic it also doesn't mean that it's great for your body. It really isn't. We don't really need that anymore.
Well, we have generations and generations and generations of
Mhm.
um, breeding the animals to produce more and not, instead of letting life
Exactly.
take care of it and then going out and harvesting um, in the season, elk or something that doesn't have all that much fat. So I can
Right.
certainly see how it's our practices more than or as much as what we're eating. Also, do you think that being fluent, we can eat what we want when we want and however much we want, has kind of distorted how we view food?
Yeah, definitely. I think, most people probably eat more for comfort than necessary, for needs. I mean, there is a large population of people in the world that are going hungry and don't have those options. But for the most part, in developed countries, I think we eat in excess in every way, and no one wants to be told you shouldn't eat that much or you shouldn't eat this or that because it's not good for you. No one wants to hear that because we live in really stressful times, and we want to eat for comfort. We want to feel good, But it's just this trick of our mind that we think, "Oh, well, I'm doing this to treat myself," but in the long run, it's having a really negative effect on your health. Maybe it's helping your mental health momentarily, but it's not helping you for longevity.
So we're kind of looking maybe at food addiction as well.
For sure.
Mhm. Speaking of which, how did your children take to the new diet?
They really didn't have a problem. We told them they didn't have to do it. We just said, we're going to do this, and if you're not interested, that's fine. But certain things, if you want that, you're going to have to get it outside of the house. I'm not going to be bringing it in the house or buying it anymore because the temptation is just, that if it's in the house, it's going to go in our mouth. Uh, so they just decided they were all in. And I mean, maybe they didn't stick to it 100%. When they would go to a class or something, they'd switch their lunches with other kids or whatever, if they wanted Oreo cookies or if they wanted, some sweet treat that they were used to eating. And that was fine with us. That was completely up to them. But they actually really enjoyed it and really enjoyed the food. We figured out how to make things taste amazing. And then, like the desserts in particular, when I would make those and we would eat a huge portion, we wouldn't have that crash and we wouldn't feel terrible a half an hour later. We actually felt energized and felt great and didn't have all that bloating or the sugar crash. So they were super happy because they could eat all of that they wanted.
How old were they at the time?
I think they were like 12 and 14. So pretty tough age to be doing that
Yeah,
for them to
exactly.
jump in with us.
Wouldn't you say the key is you gave them an option?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know if you know this, but what scientific evidence is there that whole food plant-based diet is healthy long term?
Uh, there's there's ample information out there. One doctor I really follow is Dr. Michael Greger, and he has many books. He's an epidemiologist and a nutritionist. And he has access to the medical archives. So he has a team of people that scour all of that information and only gather the most important information that's relevant to whole food plant based living and the proof that it's good for you and that it's good for longevity and the blue zones. If you've seen the documentary out about the blue zones, I mean, there's proof. People have been doing this for a long time. The cultures that are more plant based are the healthier, they have longer lives and happier lives.
There is a lot of cultures that season with meat rather than have this big old
Yeah,
honking steak, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So why do you think helping people go plant-based is so important at this time?
Uh, well, there's a lot of different factors in that. First, I mean, we came to it first through our health, which I think a lot of people find it that way. They have some health incident, heart attack, or they've got diabetes or high pressure, all of these different things, and they're led down the path to a whole food plant based diet, and usually that clears things up very very quickly. Same with younger people. I mean, I think the younger people are even struggling with eating well and being healthy. So it's not just older people that are finding this information and that's, leading them to longer, healthier lives. But at the same time, going vegan is one of the most effective things that you can do to mitigate climate change. It's more important than the short showers or, using healthy cleaning supplies or all of your cosmetics and everything like that. So I think it's great all the way around.
Now, can we qualify that? Because we always blame the cow for all the gases, so to speak, that go into the air. But our current farming practices, sago, the whole thing is
Yeah.
not good. It's not good for the climate. It's killing the bees. The chemicals that are being pumped into everything via our modern practices are dire. So, do you qualify that? The
Absolutely.
state, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I mean, I come from farming country. I come from a family of farmers, and I'm from corn country in Nebraska. It's all corn and soybeans. That's all that's in the fields out there. And the corn and soybean is being grown to feed the cattle, chicken, and pigs. That's what all of those crops are being farmed for. It's not for making tofu. There's probably 2% of the soybean that's being grown is made into tofu. So people try to disqualify that, saying, "Well, it's being raised for making tofu for vegans." I'm like, no, that's not the case. There's a very, very small percentage of that. The rest of it's all to feed animals.
Well, I've heard it's not what you eat, but what you eat ate.
What you eat,
Eat
ate.
ate. In other words, here we have the cat, all the farm animals that we're butchering and using for food, eating things that they're not designed to eat in the first place.
Sure.
Plus, they're chemicalized and GMO and all that stuff on top of it. So, how much do you suppose, or have you heard, that's playing into the unhealthiness of the
Oh,
meat that we're eating now?
of course. Of course. That's a huge factor. Huge factor. Because they're not healthy animals. I mean, the cage-free thing is a farce. Even cage-free eggs. If you see what farmers are only required to provide, it's like a 9 by 9 enclosure of grass that's outside of the barns, and the door just has to be open up for a small portion of the day. But because of the way the chickens are raised, they never choose to go out there. And you're talking about thousands of chickens that have access to this little 9 by 9 patch. So that's how they they qualify for cage free. So our green labeling, yeah, people think they're doing a good thing, or choosing one or the other. It might be a fraction better, but it's just not true. It's just not true.
So we need to do more research, don't we? Instead of just
Yeah,
buying what they're telling us.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's cage free. It's just a bigger cage.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Um, I understand you feed your dog vegan, but
Yes.
dogs are majorly carnivorous. How's that
Well,
working for your
no,
dog?
dogs actually can be omnivores, or omnivores. Cats cannot be, but dogs can be. And she's 7 years old. We've been feeding her vegan dog food since she was born, and she has more energy than we know what to do with. And she's never had any problems. We've had her at the vet, getting all of her normal checkups and everything. There are no issues. She doesn't stink. Like, most people's dogs, after a couple weeks, they just reek and they're constantly bathing them and stuff. We probably bathe her about once a year.
Mm,
Honestly, she just doesn't smell. Yeah, I'm amazed that it's worked so well.
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? I know that a lot of your carnivores actually do eat vegetables because they get to go to the gut of their prey, and they need a certain amount of that for that reason. So I was wondering how it was working out, just going that direction. We're about out of time in this segment, but what breed dog is yours?
She's a Carolina dog.
A Carolina dog.
I know. We'd never heard of it either, and she was a rescue dog, so we didn't know what
Ah,
she was in the beginning. We
okay.
just tracked it down, and yeah,
Come to find
it's an
out.
interesting breed.
Interesting. So I wonder if the vegan would work across the board with all breeds or just better with some than others. It's
Mm,
always hard to tell, isn't it?
mm.
Well, it is that time that we need to take another station break. Jill and I will be right back to continue this discussion, so you stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Is it the cow or the how? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us discussing the sustainability of our farming and ranching practices is Jill Dalton. Her website, plantbasedcookingshow.com. Jill, we had started to get into this topic a little bit, but I'd like to go into it a little further with you. We were talking about how the practices, the farming and the ranching practices are part of the dilemma here as far as our food being healthy. Do you think, or have you heard that there is a way to get around all the breeding and GMOing and all the stuff that they're doing to animals today? And if so, is it effective?
No, I don't believe it at all. I think people in general, the numbers of people eating meat and the amounts of meat has been increasing steadily for many years, and the last couple years in particular, the levels have just skyrocketed. So it's a supply demand thing. There's no way to keep up for the demand with the demand for meat without using the CAFOs and stuff like that. It's just not sustainable at all. Yeah.
And then how about the problems that we're having with all the chemicals that are put on the crops and the artificial fertilizers and the stripping of the soil? How does that play in with the plant-based
Sure.
diet?
I think, farmers could definitely be doing better, using less harmful things. But overall, I mean, all of those crops are being fed, being used to feed meat, cattle, cows, pigs, uh, chickens. So if we just cut back or get rid of, if I mean, I would suggest a lot of people just go vegan or go plant-based, it'd be better for the world in general. But even just changing one meal a day makes a huge effect on the worldscape of, the effects of farming and the demand for the meat. So, less meat needed means there's less crops that need to be raised to feed that meat, which means less pollution. I mean, it's just like a exponential kind of number.
But don't they use the same practices on people food, fruits and vegetables?
It's not nearly the result. I mean, there still are vegetables that are being grown not organically, but the percentage of that in comparison to the amount of cropland it takes to feed the meat. I mean, there's plenty of documentaries out there that show how much land it takes to feed 100 people vegetables versus 100 people it takes to feed people meat. And how much water, how much land, the crops. It's not even comparable. We're talking about maybe 0.5% of the food that vegetables that are grown for humans to what's being grown for feeding cattle.
Feeding cattle and whatnot.
Yeah.
So do you consider, apparently you consider a plant-based diet to be better for the planet? I think we've pretty much gone into why. Do you think that if we were to, like you say, simply cut back and go back towards using meat as a seasoning versus the main course, that should help exponentially, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. Exponentially. I mean, I'm a huge fan of just getting rid of it altogether, but I know it's really difficult for people, to begin with. But yeah, if you're just using it, you're having, beef maybe once a week, fish once a week, chicken once a week, that kind of deal. I mean, the numbers would change everything. That just doing that would change everything.
Well, it sounds kind of like a win-win from what
Yeah,
you're telling me. It'd be healthier for the planet and healthier for us.
absolutely.
So if we're looking at moving in this direction, what are the best resources that you found?
So Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Furman. He's been doing this for a long time, as well as Dr. Michael Greger. They both have several books. Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. I just love his titles. It's like How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, there's several of them. And he's a very comedic type of person. So he writes and it's kind of funny. but it touches on almost any fruit. And, his books cover almost any fruit and vegetable and all of the nutrients that are in it, why you should be eating that, what are the best ones, all of the scientific proof and the medical journals that prove eating these things is best for your health. They're really great resources. Yeah.
So how long have you and your family been on this diet? I don't hate to
Uh,
call it a diet, but eating this way.
Yeah, eating this way. Yeah, it's been 10 years. And I mean, one thing I wanted to add, my husband had the opportunity just recently to have his full blood work done and all of his panels and everything. And the doctor got the results back and he was so surprised. He was like, I don't normally see this. He's like, all of your numbers are optimal. Everything is perfect. He's like, I don't ever see this. Usually, there's something in here that I can suggest people need to improve on. But he's like, you are just right on the money all the way across the board. So that was really, that was a good feeling. I haven't done those panels myself because I don't remember the last time I went to a doctor. And we're both 50 years old. So, hey, who can say that?
Exactly. So, um, are there is supplementation and whatnot needed? I know there's a lot of talk about, if you don't eat meat, you get down on the B vitamins or whatever. Have
It's
you
just
found that to
B12.
be
Yep, it's just B12. And you know what? People that eat meat today still, their vitamin B12 isn't optimal either because the animals are not eating grass. That's where they get B12 from, is from the grass or from the pasture land. And if they're not eating those things, they're not getting that. They may try to supplement it in the food that they're feeding the cattle, but people that are eating meat aren't up on their vitamin B12 either. So
Well, one of the things that we know about humans is if we're eating things we're not supposed to, that we can't digest, it throws our gut off so badly that we can't absorb what's present. So why wouldn't that be the same with the animals, right?
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think their digestion is pretty different than ours and how it works. It's a lot shorter process, I think, for them. But yeah, maybe the B12 doesn't get processed correctly either. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we've decided that we can't really change farming and ranching practices we can change them somewhat to be synergistic, but not enough to make a huge difference. What's going to happen to the economy if everybody jumps on the vegan, vegetarian bandwagon?
I don't think it's going to change at all. I mean, it might just initially take a little bit, but they're farmers. I mean, I come from farming people. It's just you're just going to be farming something different, something else. It's very similar equipment, the similar land, and when you start raising things this way, stop raising all of the monocrops, you're going to be healing the land in the at the same time. So yeah, economically, I think it might just change initially, but all they have to do is just change to, hey, grow almond trees, grow, more greens, more things to make plant milks because the sales of plant milks are going way up. And
Right.
that's all farming.
It's all farming, but the ranchers are in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. But things like this have happened in human history that we've had to make big changes like that. And hey, if we want to stay on this planet, we got to make some big changes.
I would have to agree with you. It's we've got a big problem, so it's going
Yep,
to require big changes. Yeah.
absolutely.
So, if you were to advise a family, okay, say a family's
Mhm.
debating whether to do this, how would you suggest they start?
I would probably just start a few days a week. And I would find this is what really helped us is that we took our favorite foods and we found recipes or we worked on several different recipes for each favorite food until we found one that we were all super happy with. And we just started there with just a handful. Because if you talk to anybody, they usually have a repertoire of maybe 5 to 10 recipes that they use and are just in normal rotation, right? So you start with those and you just take a couple of them. And as you go along, you're going to fall in love with it. You're going to be feeling better and it's going to encourage you to eat more like that. And you're going to say, oh, well, we could probably do this every night of the week, not just two. So I would suggest doing that.
What about people that hate to cook? I mean, we have a whole fast
Oh,
food thing going on out
yep.
there because people hate to cook.
Oh, there's plenty of meal delivery services out there. We've gotten First Seed That's an Indian food type of delivery service, and their food is amazing. Whole Harvest, Splendid Spoon. There's so many out there. So if you don't like to cook, they've got it covered for you. No problem.
That's the good news, because I know
Yeah.
a lot of people they're just too busy or whatever
Yeah.
else.
Right.
But does that compromise the nutrition when you're
No,
doing
no.
a prepackaged or a
No, these companies, the ones that I just listed, there are some out there that maybe aren't as healthy. I'm not sure. I don't know of those companies, but these ones that have done all of the scientific research and each meal is designed optimally for all of your nutrients. So they're great.
But what I was thinking about is like, are they frozen?
Mhm.
Every
Yep.
time you do that, you start to lose some nutrition for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they do come. Well, one of them is just vacuum packed. Um, and it's in a cooler box, but it's not frozen. The other two, Splendid Spoon does come frozen, and so does First Seed. Um, but if you're comparing, apples to apples here, if you're trying to, base that on the frozen nutrition, like thawing it out, it's going to lose nutrients. From what you were eating before, if you're replacing it with this, it's still way healthier than what you were doing before. So those worries are very minimal.
Got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. Right.
And if it doesn't fit with your lifestyle, you're not going to stick with it.
Yeah. Right.
you know.
Right.
Well, it is time for us to take another station identifier. Please stay with us as Jill and I continue to explore vegan versus omnivore. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Eat your vegetables. Do we have to sacrifice taste for health? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're continuing our discussion with Jill Dalton, her website, plantbasedcookingshow.com. Jill, now that brings us to the thing that I think that you've really dedicated a lot of time is how do we make all that big pile of vegetables something edible? Because let's
That's
face
a
it,
good one, right?
let's
Yeah,
face
yeah,
it, we
yeah,
cook
if
it
it
today.
doesn't taste good, people aren't gonna eat it. Absolutely, and I will testify to that for sure because I love to eat. That's my favorite pastime. So if it doesn't taste good, I'm not gonna eat it either. So, yeah, I've
Well,
spent many, many years on taking just about any, uh I mean, I am American, so most of our cuisine is based around that, but I do have a lot of international ones also. But I've taken most of the favorite foods of Americans, the desserts and the breads and mains, everything, and made delicious versions of them. And if proof is in the pudding, right? If you listen, you see the comments from our show, most of them are good. People love the food.
so tell us a little bit about your show.
So we've been doing this for almost 10 years. And we started really because of that reason. We were struggling to find foods that tasted good to us, or recipes that tasted good to us that qualified, that didn't have eggs, didn't have butter, no refined flour, refined sugar. And then we went on to doing oil free and no refined sugars. So, yeah, we just started there. And we didn't intend to make a show out of it in the beginning. We were just making recipes, and my husband he's an web developer by trade. So he just said, "Well, what do you think about YouTube? What do you think about trying it? Just doing one episode and putting it out there and see what happens." And we did that for the first 3 years. Our following was pretty small, and I'm not really sure what kept us going at that point. Maybe it was just comments from people just being so happy that we were doing what we were doing and showing them how to cook well and eat delicious food. And so we just kept going, and after a while, it became profitable.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it. I mean, that is the major problem. It's like even if you have a cookbook, unless you can really see it happening, okay,
Right.
and this is totally foreign to you. I
Yeah.
mean, I was brought up as an excellent cook. I got recipes from all over the world because I grew up all over the world.
Wow.
But oh my gosh, they're all based in wheat and know
Yeah.
all the
Right.
things that I personally can't have
Mm.
that I found out, and so then you have to start all over again.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
And you have to relearn from scratch, really.
exactly. So what can you say to encourage those of us out there that are going, I spent my whole life learning how to make this
Right.
taste good. Now you want me to do what?
Right. Yeah. It is daunting at first. I mean, from experience, my family or my parents, and sister and brother, none of them are plant based, and they struggle with things like that, things that they shouldn't be eating, but they just can't wrap their head around cooking in a different way. So, yeah, it's just step by step. You learn. One of the first things you learn is how to cook or like stir fry things without oil. We just use a little bit of water, and it works like a charm. And oil is a huge inflammatory thing, and it's loaded with unnecessary calories. 1 teaspoon or tablespoon is like 190 calories or something like that. And who only uses 1 tablespoon of oil? Come on. I mean, glug glug glug. You see the cooking shows, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of oil. ah!
But
So
there
yeah,
are
it's
certain,
just like taking small steps and learning just different things. Salad dressings, being able to make a really tasty salad dressing, which I have tons of recipes for salad dressings, uh, is going to keep you eating those salads. If that salad dressing doesn't taste good, you're not going to want to eat a salad.
exactly,
You know.
exactly. We got to cover it up with something, right? It's my understanding that there are certain oils that we absolutely need for our brain to function and everything else. Are you familiar with which ones those are?
Fats, healthy fats, not oil. They don't have to be oils now,
Okay.
fats. So avocados have, it's your omega 3s mainly is what we're needing. The omega 6s we have, especially in America, we have a imbalance of the omega 6 and omega 3. We have a skyrocketing amount of omega 6, which causes inflammatory response and all kinds of problems in your body. So we need more of the omega 3s, but that comes from flax meal, it comes from chia seeds, walnuts, all nuts and seeds, and all avocado. There's plenty of healthy fat out there. You're not going to be suffering for those things at all.
You just have to educate yourself, yes,
Yes. Right.
and don't trust the advertising to do
That's
it.
right. Turn those commercials off.
Turn them off. So, when you're starting to cook in this way, I mean, it isn't there a lot of trial and error and flops?
Well, for me, yes. But that's what, I'm like, you know what? Come to me. I put out the show after I've already made all the flops. I've made all the mistakes for you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to experiment with it. My recipes are tried and true. And I mean, there's plenty of other people that I know and trust their cooking also. So there's plenty of plant-based uh, cooks out there and chefs that have online presences and cookbooks. So there's plenty of people that have already done that work for you. You're not alone. You don't have to do it by yourself.
This is the good news.
Yeah.
If you're moving towards the plant-based and you're starting to get frustrated at very best, okay, what do you have to say to people that'll keep them moving forward?
Get yourself into some kind of community. There's plenty of, Facebook communities out there or Instagram or, even just locally. You can, look on the meetup sites. There's plenty of communities of people out there that are doing exactly what you're doing, struggling with the same exact things. They've been through it, and maybe you can do it together. There's plenty of help out there, but you just have to get out there and look for it, because having that support system really is important. Maybe your family members around you, if they agree to do this with you, which is the hope. It's difficult for one person in a family to only be doing this and the rest of them aren't. So to have more people around you that are trying to do the same thing or struggling with the same issues is really, really a great help.
So a support system is a big deal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Jill, is that time in the program when I get to ask you, what's your mission?
What is our mission?
Hmm?
To help people eat as much delicious food as you want and be healthy and live long with optimal health.
Mm. That's a good mission. That's a good mission, particularly with the healthcare system being so bogged down.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
power is in your hands, really.
So, do you see this kind of eating as supporting the immune system better?
Oh, for sure. For sure. You start eating this way, and when your body is working optimally and you're getting rid of the inflammation, you're getting your triglycerides down, your all your cholesterol levels down, your blood pressure, your stress, your all of these markers, right? And you're losing weight. Your immune system is going to be much better off. And if you're eating this way, that means you're going to be eating a wider variety of nutrients and antioxidants, which are which are the stepping stones for good immune system balance and gut health. It starts in your gut, really. If you're feeding it all these nutritious things, it's feeding your gut biome, which is like our second brain. Your immune system is going to be working optimally.
I know my head clears up. It's like,
Yes.
oh, I can think.
Yeah, exactly. No more brain
Yeah.
fog.
No more brain fog. No more brain fog. So, what's your vision for the future? Should more people shift to a more plant-based form of eating?
Absolutely. Of course. We need more people to do this. I mean, it just breaks my heart when I hear people write into the show and, they'll say what they're struggling with, or, they've got their cholesterol's really high, they're on diabetes, they've been really struggling. And when they finally changed to the whole food plant-based diet, their numbers all went down. They were like, I wish I would have known this sooner or found your program sooner. So, they're telling all of their friends. So it just breaks my heart that there's so many people out there that are really struggling with ill health, and they're depending on their doctors to tell them what to do. And the doctors really aren't well trained in, they only have, most doctors they only have like 3 credit hours worth of nutrition, and it's old information. So they can't even guide people well. So the more people that do this and then feel, see how good they feel, it just, that's a wonderful thing to me. No one should have to suffer because of the way they eat.
And eating this way brings up a person's IQ, increases their health. So
Yep.
how's that going to impact the planet as a whole? I mean, will there be more creativity out there? Wouldn't that be
Hey, that
fun?
would be great, right? A lot more smart people. That would be
Yeah,
great.
that'd
A
be
lot of more
wonderful.
problem solving, more effective problem solving. That'd be great.
It'd be wonderful. So, Jill, what's the name of your show and how do people find it?
Okay. It's the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show. And the website is plantbasedcookingshow.com. And we have we're on Instagram, Facebook. But if you go to that website, it's got all of everything's there.
It's all archived for us. Huh?
Yep, it's all there.
Fantastic. And then your book, you wrote, is it a recipe book?
Yep, 2 cookbooks. Yep,
Two
volume 1
cookbooks.
and volume 2. Plant-based cooking made easy
And you can find those on your
on the website.
website. Yeah. Is it carried by Amazon and all that stuff too?
The first book is on Amazon. We decided to self-publish our second one, so that's through Mascot, but you can order straight from our website. There, it's all super easy.
Perfect. Well, it's that magic moment again, but this time we're totally out of time. Jill, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our guest this hour has been Jill Dalton. Jill is co-author of Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy. To find out more about Jill, where you can find her books and all she has to offer, visit her website, plantbasedcookingshow.com. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy past archived episodes, visit missionevolution.org. But please, be sure to join us right here next time as this show will continue to bring information, resources, and support to an evolving world.